computer. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Metaphysical Bible Hangout. For those of you that are sitting with us live, it is December 13th and 2018. I got to remember that because we've been doing this for a number of years. And this is our final Bible Hangout for 2018. We will take a recess and be back right after the King holiday on January 24th. I'm Reverend Sherry James, and I'm the Senior Minister for Understanding Principles Church. And it is my pleasure to be here. This is my most favorite thing to do, which is to sit and talk about the Bible or just any kind of spiritual anything. It is my absolute favorite conversation. And tonight, the central question that we are working with is, what do we in New Thought mean when we say trusting and resting in His name? What do we mean in New Thought, specifically, when we say trusting and resting in His name? And my aim tonight, my goal through this, is to encourage you to trust God completely without hesitation or precondition. And not from a blind faith, I'm just going to trust it and I'm just trusting God and and that's it. No, I want you to have an understanding faith. I want you to understand that you are working with an infallible law of existence, or an infallible law of reality, or law of being that can never change. And so I want to expose you to that tonight. And you're welcome to leave your mics open. Just be mindful of your background noise because I want to be able to answer any questions that you have. A couple of announcements. Like I mentioned, winter recess starts after tonight. I won't see you guys again until, well, at least not in this live setting, until January 24th. I've got some things that I'm going to be working on for the next couple of weeks I'm very excited about. I want to let you know, if you're in the Los Angeles area, we have a couple of workshops that are coming up. We have Manifest Your Soulmate on Sunday, December 16th. We have a young lady who is a certified love attraction coach. And she is coming to Los Angeles from Vegas, and she is just absolutely a manifester. And I am so excited to have her come and share with Up Church what she has learned about manifesting your soulmate. Also on the 16th, we have a Henley holiday. And this is going to be amazing. The Henleys have always been an important family at Up Church. They have been part of the soundtrack of Up Church. And so we will be spending the holidays with them on the 16th, and they will be our soundtrack for December 16th. And then Burning Bowl. So Burning Bowl is one of our signature services. It's one of the most important services that we do during the year, and that is Sunday, January 6th. And what happens during the Burning Bowl service is you come in and in the service, we walk you through the process of choosing what you want to release, choosing what you want to let go. And then in that service, you literally write it down on a piece of paper, and we support you in releasing that. You actually take that piece of paper and you walk to the fire pit and you put it in the fire pit, and you see it leaving your experience and literally just disappearing from your life. And so I just bless you to be a part of that. I'm going to mute somebody with some background noise back there. Is that you, Andrea? I think so. Okay. The Burning Bowl service it's a powerful release ceremony. Sometimes when you're trying to get going on your dreams, there's something sitting in the way. You know what to do, but you're not taking action. You know exactly who to call and what things to put in order, but you're not moving forward. And there's always, when that's happening, there's always some type of mental block. And what Burning Bowl service helps you to do is to remove those mental blocks. And so it may be a habit that you need to release. It might be a belief that you need to release. It might be an attitude that you need to release. And this is that opportunity to write it down, and in a spirit of collective release, to just let it go, to truly, truly, truly let go. So really excited for that service. That is Sunday, January 6th. And so I encourage you to come and be a part of that. All right, opening prayer. Let's just relax now. This is a perfect note for us to end the winter session on. to just rest in the awareness that God is all there is. There is only one power. There is only one presence. That power, that presence is God the good, omnipotent, the everywhere, evenly present spirit of absolute good. We just bless this conversation tonight. Father, I ask that you utilize each of us as a vessel to support one another in our spiritual growth. You put me in the role of leader of the class, but I recognize that you are the head of this class. And so I put my hand in yours and I ask you to be my mouth, my eyes, my words. Let me say only what you want me to say and none of what you don't want me to say. In the name and nature of Jesus, it is so. And so it is. And amen. The verse that I chose for tonight comes from Psalm 9:10. Psalm 9:10. I want to share my screen with you. And I think you should be able to see that. It is, and those who know your name, get that little advertisement off of there, and those who know your name will put their trust in you. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Now, whenever you see this Lord here, this means I am, or I am that I am, or the Hebrew is Yotevah, Yotevah. And where this comes from, I'm going to go up here, comes from Exodus 3, and specifically from the 13, 14, 15 verse. Moses is having a conversation with God, and he is conversing with this bush that is burning but's not being consumed. But Moses said to God, I'm going to start at verse 11, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? So he said, I will certainly be with you, and this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain. Then Moses said to God, indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. Sometimes you see that rendered, I am that I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Moreover, God said to Moses, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever. And this is my memorial to all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob appeared to me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen what it is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. So again, I want to concentrate here on verses 14 through 14 and 15. And God said to Moses, I am who I am. Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Moreover, God said to Moses, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial to all generations. So this is the name. Now, this is the understanding of who and what God is. God is I am. So then when we get to Psalm 9 and 10, and the verse says, and those who know your name will put their trust in you. Those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, for you I am, have not forsaken those who seek you. So when we're talking about seeking God, we are always, always, always talking about seeking I am. Now, there is a part of Acts, and we visited this last week with power in the name. And I want to give... Marvel. Okay. So I'm going to share another part of the screen. So this is Acts chapter 3, verses 11 through 13. Okay. So right here. Now, so what has happened is that John and Peter have entered the temple. There is a lame man who sits by the gate and begs. And when John and Peter approach him, he turns to beg from them, and they ask him to give him their attention. Look at me is what Peter says. He looks at him intently. And he said, I don't have silver and gold to give you, but what I do have to give you is more powerful than that. In the name of Jesus, rise, get up and walk. And then he does, and he goes into church and he's leaping. So this is the response afterwards. Now, as the lame man who was healed held on to Peter and John, all the people ran together to them in the porch, which is called Solomon's, greatly amazed. So when Peter saw it, he's watching the people be amazed. He talks to the people. He's like, men of Israel, why do you marvel at this? So it's like, wait, what's got you so excited about this? Or why look so intently at us, as though by our own power or godliness we had made this man walk? He's like, why are you tripping on as if John and I did something? And then he goes into, which they would know, again, because we've been educated in the religion about Jesus as opposed to the religion of Jesus. We just run past this verse as if he hasn't referenced back to Exodus chapter 3. He says, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus. And so what you have in this, the way that Jesus is being understood in Acts, is that I am this invisible presence that is God, has expressed through it, found a conduit through which to express, and it expressed through this man, Jesus. Now, this is not and we certainly can do this in 2019 if you are interested. We can get into some of the Bible scholarship, because so much of what is believed to be biblical is really interpretation. And what you find is that there are many schools of thought, even in our own Bible. And because we've been given a single lens through which to look at the text, we miss all of this other stuff that's right there on the page. So there is this evolution of Jesus coming to be thought of as God, and singularly as God. And it's not in the text. It is an interpretation that comes later. And unless you have taken like Bible literacy classes, it's challenging to see it, because all of us have had that grounding in how we've been taught to look at scripture. So to see something different it's unless you have a teacher walking you through it and showing you other contemporary documents that, you know, along with it, it's like, oh, for example, the Stoics. Stoicism was one of the prominent faith practices during that time, and it's all throughout some of the letters of Paul in terms of references that he makes. You find it in Acts, and it's as if it doesn't exist if somebody, when people are teaching you about the Bible, but that point of view is right in there in the text. Again, it's just being able to tease that out and looking at it against other contemporary documents, because the Bible was not written in a vacuum. It was written in a context. It comes out, the document comes out of the people, not the people out of the document. Okay, so what is the name of God? The name of God is I am. And so what we're talking tonight is about trusting and resting in his name. Trusting and resting in his name. Now I want to give you a couple of definitions of trusting and resting. Find my page. So to trust it's like a living stillness. There's no question in your heart about it. And when I say a living stillness, I mean that you don't have any energy about it. It just is. You have a trust that the light switch in your house is going to work. In fact, you are shocked if it does not work. I have a lamp in my bedroom that I love. I got this lampshade that was custom made for me, and I bought the lamp for the lampshade, and I went to turn the lamp on the other day, and I couldn't turn the lamp on. I was like, man, what happened to the lamp? Like, oh, okay, maybe the bulb was out. And then I went and got another bulb, and it wasn't quite the right bulb. It was the right, hole size to screw in, but it still didn't turn on. So I'm like, okay, well, it must be this bulb. There must be a problem with this bulb, because there could not be a problem with this lamp. And so I went to Walmart and bought an entirely new box of light bulbs, because the problem could not be with the lamp. The problem had to be with the bulb. I had a living stillness that the lamp is going to work. I had a trust that something must be wrong with everything else, because nothing could be wrong with the lamp. There are things in our life that we have a living stillness about. It's like we're relaxed in it, because we just know that we know that we know that it is going to be so. Now it turns out I put in I think all 4 of the different light bulbs, and none of them worked. And then I was finally willing to say, well, maybe the lamp went out. Okay, maybe that's what happened. So a trust is like a living stillness. Jennifer says it's like be still and know. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So that living stillness, where we want to come to is to have that kind of trust in God. There are many people who say, I trust God, but I want to touch on that, and I want to push back on that, because I would argue that they do not. If you listen to what people talk about, you hear the anxiety, the fear, the frustration, the scaredness in terms of this universe. I was listening to an interview from a journalist who served with Robert Kennedy, I think. Alita says, it passes all understanding. Yes. He served with Robert Kennedy. I'm pretty sure he served with Robert Kennedy. So this is old school journalist. And he is observing the country under the current presidency. And he lived through the civil rights era. And he has grandchildren now that are growing up. And he talked about this fear that he feels about the world that they're inheriting. And you'll hear this. And the thing is that people say that they believe in God. They say that they trust God, but they fear the world. And your concept of the world is your actual belief in God. I'm going to mute somebody. I got some background noise. Push back on that because I want to make sure I explain that so that you guys get it.
Reverend?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. It's like what I believe about my world is a reflection, is going to be reflected in my experiences.
Yeah.
So, I had a situation, man. I had a real situation that I was dealing with. And I on the job, had a lot of pushback on a directive that I put out. It got really blown out of proportion. It caused me a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally reached a point, I had to like really go into my meditations, breathing. I mean, I really had to work with it. And I finally reached a point where I was like, hey, if I believe what I say I believe, then what am I stressing about? Because everything is going to work out for my highest good. I don't care what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and we don't always have that trust. I had to work myself up to that trust.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the trust that you just know, regardless. I don't care what is said. I don't care what the outcome is. At the end of the day, it's going to be for my highest good. What is the lesson in this whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
What is it coming to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
That's for my highest good. And if I project an energy that causes, draws to me this negativity because of energies that I put out, then I need to go back and reflect on my own energies.
Right.
And my own vibration. And so I trust in this process. I trust in God. And I know that in the end of the day, it's going to work. And it all is starting to work out. Just be still and know that I am God and watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Emmett Fox, I was looking for this because I want this to get, I want this to stick when we talk about trusting and resting in his name. Everybody has a God concept. Everybody has a concept of God that they may or may not be aware of. And your God concept is what you actually believe about God. This is, he said this, I'm reading from the 10 Commandments, Emmett Fox, which is an excellent text, by the way. He says, the only thing you have of spiritual knowledge is what you practice. What you read in books, you do not have. What you speak to others about, you do not have. It is what you practice that you incorporate in the subconscious. And it is with you for the rest of this life and for future lives too. You can only take with you what you incorporate in the subconscious mind. All the rest you leave behind. All the things on the bookshelves, all the things you may have studied, it is what you practice that stays with you. So God is a practice. we speak about God as an entity, and we talk about the divine, and it's almost like we're projecting this energy outside of us. But the God of your being is the God that you practice. The God of your being is the God that you practice. So if you find that you are constantly thrown into worry, constantly thrown into fear and into doubt and into other areas of insecurity, that's your God. Many people get a God concept and they never examine it. Emmett Fox says, this is on page 34 of the same book. He says, thou shalt not, the Bible, okay, your idea of God is not the name you give to God. So you might call God, Mae McCarthy calls God her chief spiritual officer, and she sets up her organizational chart for her business, and she's the CEO, and then there's the office above her, which is the CSO, and she meets every day with the CSO about the business of her company, right? Your idea of God is not the name you give God. It does not matter what you call God. Some people have the name Allah for God. Some people have the name, divine energy, planetary presence. I don't know what, they got a whole lot, right? And Emmett says, it does not matter what you call God. We say God. The Germans say Gott. The French say le bon Dieu, and so forth. In Sanskrit, it is Diva, the shining one. These are only names. The real name of God for you is your idea of God. Not mine, not the one your father or your mother taught you, not the local minister's idea, but your own honest and real idea of God. That will govern your whole life. What you are always experiencing is your concept of God. And so this is what the Bible means when it says, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. You cannot do it. If your idea of God is a lofty one, approximate to the truth, things go well with you. If your idea of God is a false one, a long way from the truth, things will go ill with you. It is true of you. It is true of nations. It is true of churches. It is true of races. All is determined by your idea of the nature of God. I have a friend. I won't say his name. I'm not in any danger of him catching this episode. But I have a friend who he would joke, but there was also some seriousness in his joking. And he would say, well, I pray, but there's so much else going on in the world that God hasn't gotten around to my request yet. And so his concept of God is a God, apparently not almighty. That his concept of God is this God that can only deal with the more serious requests. And his request for help with his rent was not as serious as, say, what was going on over in Beirut, because that was something he would always say, well, God's got to handle stuff happening over in Beirut. He can't come over here and handle what's happening for me in Los Angeles with me just needing to get my rent paid. You are always living your concept of God. Yvonne said, what do you consider a false image of God? I consider a false image of God anything that contradicts the agreement, the idea that Jesus put forth of God. Jesus said that God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship in spirit and truth. Jesus said that it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Jesus said that if you look at Matthew 13, he outlines all these ways that the kingdom of God is like. The kingdom of God is like, and each of those images are images of a God that supplies his creation, that loves his creation, that is never angry with his creation, that's never mad with his creation. And so for me, anything outside of the image of God that Jesus presents is a false image of God. Deb says, God of your being, that's our practice. Really insightful to think in this way, Reverend Sherry. Thank you. Thank you. So you are always experiencing your idea of God. This, I'm reading further because I think this is so powerful. I think this is a really good book to have in your library. It's called The 10 Commandments, Emmett Fox. He says, the question is sometimes asked, do you believe in God? But that question and its answer can have no meaning until you say what kind of God you believe in. Then it has meaning. There is no one who does not believe in something. We're hardwired for belief. Atheists believe in something. We're hardwired for belief. If you, I like to watch Bill Maher. You know, he's so anti-religion, so, you know, just, he made a movie called Religulous, and so he thinks, since he doesn't believe in the God that I profess to believe in, that he doesn't believe in a God. We are hardwired for belief. As human beings, everybody believes in something because it's done unto you according to your belief. Now, you can call it what you want to. You can call it God or Le Bon Dieu or Diva or God, or, you know, make up a name for yourself. It don't really matter. The point being that you are always living your concept of God, whether you call yourself atheist or not. The atheist is just someone who hasn't heard a concept of God that they believe in, but ask them what they believe about the universe. They might tell you, well, I believe that some people are evil. That's part of your God concept. They might tell you, I believe that some people are just hateful. They're just bad people. That's part of your God concept. What you believe about the world is your actual idea of God. So it doesn't matter what you call it. So you may have people in New Thought, and I've said this before, who they like the fact that we don't call ourselves sinners, that we don't use terms like worm of the dust, and that, you know, we're just wretched and all. We don't use things like that. But what does it matter if you act like it? Meaning, if you carry yourself like that. It does not matter what you call it. What matters is what you practice. Deb, you asked, is it possible to send us a list of your recommended books to read? Yes, I will send that out. I will absolutely send that out. There is no one who does not believe in something. The so-called atheist or materialist always believes in the laws of nature. Ask them if they believe in gravity. That's part of their God concept. I suppose the most militant atheists of the present day are the Marxists, the self-styled followers of Marx, although Marx would probably excommunicate them if he could come back. They have an anti-God department in the Russian government, or used to. Yet this was written around the 1953, just so you guys know. They have, because, you know, Russia has come back into our lives in a prominent way. They have an anti-God department in the Russian government, or used to. Yet they all believe, most pathetically, in the laws of nature. It's like you're working with the laws of nature, because guess what? You grow food, atheists. so something is growing your food. Anyway, all right, keep going. Yet, so they are simply calling God nature. That is all. All these materialists believe in the laws of chemistry and physics. They believe in engineering. They say the brain secretes thought as the liver secretes bile, and that the laws of nature are unchanging, and so forth. They believe in the laws of nature, and that is their idea of God. So the point is that we are all hardwired for belief. And so what you are always seeking to uncover is, what is my concept of God? But I'm off track a little bit. I was talking about trusting, having this living stillness. there are parts of God that we have a living stillness about. We have a living stillness about gravity. None of us is walking off of buildings. We know better. But there are other parts of God that we don't feel so confident in. We have a living stillness about plants. And if we plant a certain seed, that we're going to get whatever that seed is meant to give us, whether that's an apple, an orange, a pear, a watermelon. Where we run into challenges is when we need to have a living stillness about the creations of our minds, our dreams, our goals, the things that we have been put here on the planet and given to this generation to give. Each one of us came with some gift or set of gifts in us for this generation that we are meant to give. And no two people were given the same gift. And it is our responsibility to seek God so that we may release the gifts that we have been packaged with. Your gift is the thing that comes naturally to you. No one can teach you your gift. It can only be refined. Your gift, some people have a gift for music, and there is a way that they hear. Oh gosh, there was a song that I want to say India Ari did that I thought was so powerful. I'm going to try to remember the name of it. She talks about hearing the music of God in everyday life. And I think it's on her first CD. And it's in, hearing the tire tread on the ground, and hearing the wind blow through the leaves, and hearing clanging pots. And it was that, there are these ordinary sounds of everyday living that we're all hearing, but when I hear them, I hear the music of God. No one can teach her that. But her gift must be refined in order for it to benefit humankind. And I'm saying that you have a gift like that. Everybody's looking at it, but you're the only one who sees it. Everybody's looking at it, but you're the only one who sees it. And your work with God then is refining what only you see. So the reason that we need this living stillness with God, and we need to trust and rest in his name, is that it is in the relaxation that the gift gets refined. The gift can't come out in the tension. The gift comes in the relaxation. It has space to flourish in the relaxation. To rest it's like a perfect passivity. There's a line from an Emily Cady pamphlet that says, there is a perfect passivity, which is not indolence, indolence meaning laziness. There is a perfect passivity, which is not indolence. You're going about your daily business, but you have no sense of worry in your spirit. And you are simply resting in the awareness that everything is all right. Reverend Della had this song that she would sing leading into for our meditation. And y'all forgive me, I'm not a singer, but I want to give it to you because I think you'll get a sense of it. I'm not a singer. And she would sing this a cappella. She would say, give it to God and release it. Give it to God and be free of it. Give it to God and release it. Give it to God and be free of it. I got the tune wrong. I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When the people of the world start to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me. And it's just this calm that you get to just relax. It's you still have your daily activities, the things that you need to get done, the places that you need to go, but your soul is at rest. It is a living stillness born of trust. These are Emily Cady's words. She says, quiet tension is not trust. It is simply compressed anxiety. So you have people that might be in either state where they are, flustered. You look at them and they just all over the place. Emotionally, you talk to them and it's like, ooh, that energy just, it wears you out. You talk to them and by the time you finish talking to them, you're like, I need a nap. Maybe y'all don't have anybody like that in your life. But my point is that it's this chaos, and you feel it when you're around them. Then there are people who are really good at masking. And so they always have a smile on their face, and they always look poised. But in actuality, they have this quiet tension. And so they are anxious. And it's almost like they've got this background of worry and frustration and feeling stuck, and everything is just tight. But externally, they look like they're at peace. And she's saying that quiet tension is not trust. All it is compressed anxiety. And you only need one pinprick to turn all that quiet tension into that other form of chaos where the person is all over the place. Oh, I love that, Jennifer. Jennifer, send me that video because I wanted to find it for tonight. The video that you've seen of her singing that. And Yvonne, I'll send it out. I'll pass it out to everybody as well. So what we are working towards is a living stillness where the trust. Is there a question? Somebody. Oh, it's not you. Okay. Where the trust that we have is it's unshakable, in the same way that I knew that lamp was supposed to work, and that the stuff in your life is supposed to work, that we have that same kind of living stillness with God. And then the rest is where we are where we're not walking around this almost like a boiling kettle, just waiting for that right temperature or right degree to kick us over into overdrive. So the resting is about a perfect passivity. And now you have to practice getting there. You don't get there overnight. And everybody has something that sends them into chaos or this feeling of chaos. You don't get there overnight. It is practicing it. It's making it a part of your day. There's a book I'm reading right now that I think you guys would really like. It's called Atomic Habits, and the author is James Clear. And one of the things that James talks about, and I think it's so powerful, and I just shared it with someone earlier today, that okay, chapter 5. Hold on, I want to get to this. That you don't need massive change to produce massive results. What you need are consistent little habits over time. So he tells a story, and I think it's so powerful. This is of the British cycling that changed. Now, the thing about the British cycling is that they had been losers since forever. Since 1908, they had won a single gold medal. From 1908 to 2008, they had won a single gold medal. Now, that's basically they sucked. That's the bottom line. They hadn't won a single gold medal, and in the Tour de France, in the 110 years of the Tour de France, the a British cycler had ever won the Tour de France. So this is the biggest race as far as racing is concerned, and they just sucked. So they brought in this specialist, this consultant, this strategist to help them figure out what was going on. Like, why were they so bad? Because their performance had been so underwhelming that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe refused to sell them bikes because they didn't want to be associated with so much losing. And you think about that. That would be like somebody in America, we had a race in America or a racing team, and an American brand says, no, you gotta go get you a foreign brand. Don't use our bikes because we don't want to be associated with all the losing that you're doing. So anyway, they hired this guy to come in, and he had this belief in making marginal gains. His whole thing was about making little marginal gains. And he said the whole principle came from the idea that if you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then improve it by 1%, that's it, just 1%, think about 1%, you will get a significant increase when you put them all together. So this is what he did. They redesigned the bike seats so that they were more comfortable. They rubbed alcohol on the tires so that it would have a better grip. They asked the riders to wear electrically heated overshorts to maintain ideal muscle temperature while they were riding. And then they used biofeedback sensors to monitor how each athlete responded to a particular workout. Then they tested different fabrics in a wind tunnel, and they had their outdoor riders switch to indoor racing suits, which turned out to be lighter and more aerodynamic. Everything just 1%. Let's just get a little bit of here, a little bit of there, a little bit. And they didn't stop there. Then they tested different massage gels to see which one led to the fastest muscle recovery. Then they hired a surgeon to teach the cyclists how to wash their hands to reduce their chances of catching a cold. Then they determined the type of pillow and mattress that led to the best night's sleep for each rider. And they even painted the inside of the team truck white, which helped them spot little bits of dust that would normally slip by unnoticed, but could degrade the performance of a finely tuned bike. And so they made all these like little, just small improvements. Just all I need, everything that goes into bike riding, let's just get 1% better, right? And in 5 years after he took over, the British cycling team dominated the road and track cycling events at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. They won 60% of the available gold medals. And then in 2012 in London, they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. And that same year, in 2012, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win a Tour de France. And then the next year, his teammate, Chris Froome, won the race. And then they would go on to win in 2015, 2016, and 2017. So essentially, they won 5 Tour de France's in 6 years after never winning. And the winning continues, but again, it was just marginal improvements. So I want you to think about trusting and resting in the name of God in the same way. You don't need to swing the pendulum and get all the way over to complete trust, because one, you would swing right back. You can't hold that. You can't sustain that. But if you said, I'm going to go about my day and I'm going to identify all the places where I get anxious, and I'm just going to get 1% better. It's going to get 1% better with trusting God. That when the bill comes up that I feel like I can't pay, I'm going to handle it this way. Just 1% better. I don't need to be extremely better. I just need 1% better. That's all that I need. Now, trusting and resting in his name. So I want to go back to Psalm 9:10. And those who know your name will put their trust in you. For you, Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. What if every day you got up and just asked God, give me a deeper revelation of your name that I can put my trust in? I know your name is I am. You've made that clear in Exodus 3:13 through 16. All I'm asking for today, God, is a deeper revelation of your name that I can put my trust in. Maybe I can practice the affirmation of the word, I am love. Just I'm going to carry I am love. Maybe I'll write it down on a note card that I can carry with me, all day. Just write it on a note card, carry it with me. And, every time my hand comes across this note card, I'll just take a few minutes to sit and ponder, I am love. Because I'm going to seek you. You've not forsaken those who seek you. And the way I seek you is I practice you. The way I seek you is I practice you. What did Emmett say? The only thing of God you get to keep is the part you practice. Everything else is just talk. This conversation is great. The only part that's going to matter is the part you leave here and practice. What these habits do is that they establish consciousness. Our identity and who we are is established through the things that we do every day. Our habits come out of our identity, and our habits reinforce our identity. How you do anything reflects how you see yourself and what you think of yourself and how you understand yourself. But you can also work this in reverse, because every process works in reverse in this universe. So you can you can design an ideal. I see myself as, and then fill in the blank of whatever that is. And then you choose habits that fit that ideal. And all you need is 1% better. All you need is to be 1% better. Maybe you know, for your health, you don't need to go all the way to like, you know, weight training, but maybe it's just, you know what, I'm just going to walk every day. At the end of every day, I'm going to take a walk. That's it. Phyllis says, in the winter season, I practice his presence more often than any other time of the year. Yes. Yes. Tell me what you mean, Phyllis, when you say in the winter season, and why then more than any other time? Is that because of the delicious weather y'all have there?
Because I have to walk and then it's icy. So what I do is I become one with him. And I say, I'm walking in your footsteps. I'm not walking in mine. And so I take myself off the storm, so to speak, and tell myself I'll get to the other side. So I just let go and let him take me to wherever I am going, because I'm afraid to fall. And the first couple of weeks we had a big snow thing, and I panic. I become paranoid. And so I took a cab, and instead of being dropped off at the place I want, I had a distance to walk, and it was slushy, icy, and I was so afraid. And then I said, oh no, that's not me. So my winter affirmations kicked in, my scriptures kicked in, and I said, okay, I got to the other side. So that's why I said in the winter, I'm always reminding myself, I'm one with you, God. I'm not Phyllis, I am God.
Yes, 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 yes. Phyllis, that's so powerful. That's so powerful, because that practice extends to everything else. You can do that in every area of your experience. And I'm hearing what you're saying, which is I'm practicing. I am naming myself master over this environment.
Right.
And I think that's fire. That's yes. So one of the things that this is something from Emily Cady. She says, this battle you are trying to fight is not yours, but God's. You are trying to heal. You're trying to make God manifest as your supply. You are trying to hold vigorously to the law of good in that very trouble at home, which the world knows not of, but which at times nearly overwhelms you. Be still. So it isn't that you don't go out in the winter. It's that I go about the things that I need to do, but I'm going to still myself internally, and I'm using my words to still myself internally. Be still, let go. The battle is God's. The battle to keep you upright and not flat on your back in the icy, slushy snow is God's. It's not yours. So then let me begin to affirm, I am God. I am the presence of God moving across this ice. If Jesus can walk on water, I know I can walk on ice. The battle is God's, not yours. And because it is God's battle through you, God desires to manifest through you. Victory was on your side before the battle began. The battle is God's, not yours. And because it is God's battle through you, God desiring to manifest through you, Victory was on your side before ever the battle began. Whatever it is that you are facing, the victory was on your side before it ever began. But the victory needs you to relax in order for it to manifest. The victory needs you to relax. From the smallest thing of our everyday life to the rolling away of the largest stone of difficulty from our past, it will come in to deliver us, it being I am. But it's working. I am working depends upon our trusting, and trusting means getting still inside. If I am not still inside, then there's an African proverb that says, if there is no enemy within, the enemy without can do us no harm. Things may be happening in the world. Crazy stuff. We know that with this in every day in the press, there's some new nonsense with world leaders and all that. Trusting means getting still inside. No matter what is happening outside, I am still inside. And remember, I'm not trying to go from 0 to 100. I just want to get 1% better. So every place in my life where I need to trust God, all I want to do is get 1% better. So maybe when, like you said, Phyllis, when with the ice, that when I see it, instead of feeling the fear, I'm going to still myself. And then in any other area where I find myself a flutter, I'm going to relax. Our part in this and our part in working with God is the living stillness and the perfect passivity. And to trust and to rest in his name means that I know that if I will speak the word, for I am love, I am peace, I am joy, I am order, I am joy. If I will speak the word for it, and I will hold that word in my heart, and I've got different techniques. I can write it on a card. I can put it on the affirmation bracelet. I can record my own voice saying it and play it over and over again in my ear. I can put on positive music. There are many ways to hold the word in my heart and to keep it at the forefront of my mind. I know that if I hold it and I rest in it, that I will never be forsaken. God never forsakes me. I forsake me because I let go of the word. The fear comes up and I don't do anything about the fear. I let the fear multiply, multiply, multiply. And it gets my attention, and then it keeps getting my attention, and then it keeps magnifying it mentally in my experience. But the promise of Psalm 9 is those who know your name, you know the name of God, I am, will put their trust in you. You know, I'm going to use you as an example, Phyllis. You know your name is Phyllis. If anyone tried to give you another name, you'd be like, well, it's fine that you want to call me that, but that's not my name. You've been called Phyllis so long, and you call your name yourself Phyllis, that anytime you hear the word Phyllis, you look up, because even though there may be another Phyllis, the person might possibly be speaking to you. There's a trust that comes from you knowing your name. And so this verse is also saying, and those who know your name, when you know I am, and you spend that time in the presence of I am, and you let God love you, it's easy then to put your trust in God. It's easy then to put your trust in I am. There was a woman, Carrie Judd, who was a faith healer. Carrie Judd had been sickly as a child, and I'm looking for the story because I want to share it with you. Yeah. Carrie Judd had been sickly as a child. She lived from 1858 to like like she was like around the 1800s. And she was a faith healer, and she had developed an infection in almost all of her organs. And she wrote to this faith healer named Mrs. Mix, who was a colored, just described as a colored woman. Carrie, I want to get Carrie Judd. So Carrie was a faith healer. She was an American philanthropist. She was a preacher, and she lived from 1858 to 1946. And she was influential in the American Divine Healing movement in the late 19th century. And she played a significant role in promoting faith healing and Pentecostalism. As a child, she was the fourth of 8 children, and she had gotten sick. And she got sick. She had fallen and fell really hard on icy ground, and she kept on going to school, but then her health started to deteriorate, and she found out that she had something called spinal fever. And then that turned into tuberculosis of the blood. And basically I'm not laughing at her. I'm just saying it, like, it had gotten so serious that she was just swollen all over, and she had trouble, with all of her major joints. And her family really thought that she was dying. And so they were letting people come in and just, basically have a few minutes, some time with her before they felt like she was going to die. And there was a colored woman, Sarah Mix, M-I-X, from Connecticut, who had been healed of tuberculosis through the prayers of Mr. Ethan Allen. And Carrie asked her sister to basically help her write to this woman. And the woman gave her the prayer that was found in James 5:15. And it was central to the letter, as well as the encouragement to act in faith, regardless of how she felt. And she did this, and she was healed. And then she went on to teach other people how to heal. So people ask her, how was it hard to keep herself always, wrought up to a point of faith that was sufficient to bring into her life whatever she wanted? And her response was, is it hard to work for a baby? Is it hard work for a baby to lie in its mother's arms? Well, if I want anything, be it a pair of boots or $100, I just ask God for it. And then I lie down in his arms. In other words, she goes about her work, and I know that it is mine. Giving not an instant's thought to the how or when of its coming, and it always comes. That is the trusting and the resting. And that's what Reverend Della's song made me think about when she would sing it. And it really was how she lived her life. And I don't know where or when she began singing the song. I mean, she didn't start singing it to us until we were in First Lutheran. She never sang it when we were in any of the hotels. But she started singing the song, and I know that was during the time that she dealt with diabetes and other, physical challenges. She had also fallen when we first moved into First Lutheran. And I can imagine her singing that song. And she always described herself, Ray, you can attest to this, she always described herself as a daddy's girl. And she would say, I don't have to worry about anything. I'll just go talk to my daddy. And that was a thing, you know, for her, that because she had that kind of daddy's girl relationship with her father, it was very easy for her to transfer that understanding to her relationship with God. But it was this understanding that my daddy's going to take care of me. And it was this simple, clear, unshakable understanding that I am cared for. Even when, you know, some people don't know this, but she had, you know, she had some tax issues or something like that. It was some challenges with her house. And she was like, I'm not leaving this house until I decide that I'm leaving this house. And true to form, she manifested a developer that came and bought the house and bought the land for multi millions of dollars, that then enabled the purchase of another really fabulous home in another fine area of Los Angeles. It was just this implicit trust that I just crawl up into my Father's arms and I know that I am cared for. And so the soul work that I want to give you for this holiday season, as we, you know, everybody's spending money on Christmas but people are also dealing with loss during the holidays and not having important family members there, or maybe family members that really meant a lot to you, maybe made their transition during this time in you know, a time of the year, that to really crawl up into the arms of your Father, of your Heavenly Father, and to just trust and rest in the name I am. And to know that whatever you attach to I am, whatever you hold foremost in your mind, attached to I am, that you will not be forsaken. And that as you get to know this presence and put your trust implicitly in this presence and know, like Phyllis knew, I'm not falling. Care how icy it gets, I'm not falling. That I am the presence of God moving across this earth. I have mastery and dominion over all of the physical elements of this universe. Nothing has the power to hurt or harm me. Nothing has the power to trip me up. That as you rest in that, then you demonstrate the fruit that is in your soul to bring out. Any questions? Andrea says, I rest in the assurance that I am guarded and guided by the great I am. There is nothing to fear. Like the lilies in the field, I do not toil. No, do not toil. Awesome.
My time with God is as a little girl or as a little child. When I ask him for something, I'm so happy, like I'm in his lap bouncing up and down. That's my relationship with him. I just don't stay still. I just be like crazy all over him. That's how, you know, I trust him so much to get that thing. Like a little girl, if you promise that girl something, she's going over and telling everybody, mommy's gonna give me this, mommy's gonna give me that. So that's daddy's gonna give me that.
Yes. You made me think of something, Phyllis, because Jordan lost his first tooth yesterday, and we couldn't find it. And he was like, no, Mom, it's in the top part of the lunch kit. I'm like, I don't see it, Jordan. And so he couldn't go to sleep because the tooth fairy is not going to bring money for a tooth that's not there. And so finally, he was just so wound up. And finally, I picked him up and I said, Jordan, I said, listen, I emailed the tooth fairy and she said she could still hook you up. but you got to go to bed so she can bring what she's going to bring. So when he got up this morning, there was a $5 bill folded under his pillow. Well, first of all, he got up and he knocked my pillows off of my bed, I guess thinking maybe the money came under my bed. And then he said, well, wait, let me check under the pillow on my bed. And so he goes over to his bed and he sees the $5 and folded up. And he's like, $5, like just, it is this understanding that I am taken care of, that it's unshakable, unflappable. What were you gonna say?
Super confidence.
Yes. Yes, because when I said I emailed the tooth fairy, it was like, oh yeah, but she emails other people. She must have emailed the tooth fairy. Right. Yvonne says $5. Wow, the cost has greatly increased since my childhood days. Listen, I consulted other parents and they were like, $5. I'm like, this is expensive. Like you could fund Christmas with a mouth of teeth. You know, so yeah, that's what they told me. They told me $5. And I was like, ooh, goodness gracious. It's a little rough there.
Coincidentally, I mentioned $5 if you had given him $5. I didn't know you gave him $5.
Yes, I did. Like teeth have gotten super expensive. So, thank you guys for tonight. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. Yes. So I will see you guys January 24th. Have a beautiful holiday season. I bless you to trust and rest in the name of God, to know that you are cared for. And like Phyllis said, it's just to become that little girl or that little boy in your father's arms and to just God's got this. It's all handled. It's all good. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.